History is not boring, unless you're doing it wrong.
Welcome to Rainy Day Rabbit Holes, where the West gets wild, and so do we.
I'm Shay.
And I'm Jody.
Let's fall down the rabbit hole. This is a fan fiction.
All right, my fave, fan fiction, and you're so good at this.
Today, I have a tale from my friend and Patreon supporter, Captain Dan.
Ooh, Captain Dan. How long has he been our supporter?
When I told him he needed to be our supporter.
Good work, Captain Dan. I often do what Shay tells me to do.
Dan is actually captain, by the way.
All right.
He has his captain's license.
All right.
So, okay. I missed his 70th birthday because we were talking at the fundraiser for Radio Tacoma.
Oh.
So I felt
happy birthday,
really bad.
70th?
So, yes, in October. So I'm very sorry, Dan, that I missed your birthday. I felt terrible.
Well, here's an extra special birthday gift.
Yes. So here is a little apology / belated birthday gift. And since Dan is really a captain, I picked this one. This was not a random. I based it on episode 26, Release the Kraken.
Ooh.
Sea Monsters of the Salish
Captain
Sea.
Dan.
Captain Dan. Okay.
Nice.
You ready?
I'm ready.
Here we go. The first time I saw Captain Dan, he was sitting alone in the corner of the Galleon's Inn tavern, his face partially obscured by shadows, staring into a glass of ginger ale like it contained the whole of the ocean. Outside, Port Townsend was drowning under a proper Pacific Northwest storm, the kind that rattles your bones and makes you question every decision that led you within 50 miles of the Puget Sound. Like this last week.
I was going to say, so familiar.
The tavern was alive with the noise of it. Rain hammering on the roof, boots stamping, and the smell of wet wool, pipe smoke, and sea salt. Along with the stink of unwashed bodies. But hey, it was the 1800s.
So it's just right in there.
Yeah, everyone smelled bad.
Right.
But Captain Dan sat still as driftwood, staring into the amber firelight reflecting in his glass, every line in his face carved by the wind. He had that look, one I've come to recognize in old sailors, the look of a man who's seen too much and come home with ghosts for company. He wasn't particularly unusual for this tavern. It was a favorite haunt of grizzled sailors, sun-baked loggers, and the strange and unusual. I myself was strange and unusual. I kept my curly hair short and made sure to wrap my chest tight. But while I might be able to fool the innocent townsfolk for the most part, Earl, the clever bartender of the Galleon's Inn, saw past my trousers, thick sweater, and oilskin coat. He gave me a knowing wink the moment I stepped into the firelit interior. He pushed a whiskey across the bar to me and leaned in close.
You might want to drop your voice an octave. People might get suspicious.
But, like all good barmen, he knew how to keep a secret. I was born with an urge to be a person of my own invention. From a tiny child, my mother couldn't keep dresses on me. I would steal my brother's trousers, wrap a belt twice around my waist to keep them from falling down, and sneak out of the house to play soldiers with the boys. And when my father died, he left just me and my older brother Jason to take care of our mother and our 4 little sisters. As a woman in the mid-1800s, I had almost no means of making money to help support the family, beyond taking in sewing or leading seances. So once again, I borrowed my brother's clothing and set out to play with the boys, but this time, for real. I could pass for a young man for the most part, as long as I kept my wits about me. But having someone know my secret and not push me away was invaluable. I only ever drank at the Galleon's Inn, which is how I ended up meeting Dan. Earl leaned in close and whispered,
That's Captain Dan. Used to run the timber routes from Victoria. Got his captain license young. Been out there longer than the Russians. They say he's seen things that would turn a man's hair gray.
Now, seen things is my favorite phrase in the English language. I was filling a leather-bound journal that I kept in the big pocket of my oilskin duster with stories from people who have seen things. So I bought 2 drinks and made my way over. Evening, Captain. Mind if I sit? He glanced up, pale eyes measuring me like a wave about to break. Then he nodded at the drink in my hand.
Only if that's ginger ale.
It is, I lied. He took a sip, sighed, and muttered,
Weather like this makes the sea restless. Makes her restless.
Her? I asked.
The one they call monster. They call her Cadborosaurus, he said softly.
Then he looked me dead in the eye. I shivered under the icy stare of those cold blue eyes.
But I call her Caddy. It was the summer of 1889.
He began. The year Seattle burned. The year the timber boom made fools rich.
And the sea decided to make me hers.
He paused, lost in thought, staring at the firelight reflected in his drink like a dying ember, gaze turned inward, towards the past. He was captain of the Sea Nymph, a distinguished three-masted tall ship out of Victoria. The job was simple. Haul bearings of herring down to Port Angeles.
Herring,
He said.
After a while, all you could smell was fish, even after a bath.
The crew was small and mostly hungover. Old McCready, who swore he once punched a bear. The Flint twins, who were indistinguishable except one had more teeth. And young Chris Staudinger, who thought the sea was romantic.
We set sail at dawn, Dan said. The sun coming up over the Olympics, gold light spilling on the water. Orcas breaching off the port bow. Gulls screaming bloody murder overhead. You could taste the pine and salt in the air. A perfect morning. Too perfect.
In my mind's eye, I could see the dark green water, hear the waves slapping on the wood of the hull, smell fermenting fish. He leaned forward, lowering his voice.
See, the sea don't like perfect. She's got a jealous streak, and she'll remind you quick that she's in charge.
2 days in, the wind died. Dead calm. Not a ripple on the water, not a gull in sight.
It's never that still out there,
He said.
It's like the world stopped breathing.
Fog rolled in, thick, white, swallowing everything.
Couldn't see your own hand in front of your face. It was like pea soup.
He muttered. The men grew nervous. Chris whispered about the sea spirits the Salish people weren't. Sorry. I know it's funny. I just put Chris on this boat.
I think he shows up places.
He has an appropriate sweater and hat. I've seen pictures of it.
Yes. And he probably knows this story very well, even if he made it up. He's a historian.
Right? Chris whispered about the sea spirits the Salish people warned of, guardians of the bays, long as a schooner, old as the tides.
They're coming for revenge! We should never have burned their villages.
Dan barked at him to man up, but he admitted now,
My guts were turning cartwheels. I was glad that I brought an extra pair of trousers.
Did you bring your disposable underwear?
Jody shows up at my house.
Her pack.
She was helping me pack, and she's like, I brought something for you. And she hands me a pack of disposable underwear, like basically like adult diapers. She's like, I thought you might need them in Japan. It's like, look,
I've heard stories.
it's only
I'm
the
just
one
helping you out.
time. I did not bring them, and I did not need them this time. Thank you very much. Okay. Back to this story. Then came the sound. A sigh, low and deep, like the ocean exhaling after 1,000 years. The sea nymph shuddered. The green water slapped against the hull, spraying the men at the rail with its salty tears.
At first, I thought it was a whale.
Dan said. Then it lifted its head.
She was
He paused, searching for the word.
beautiful. In a terrible way.
He described a long, sinuous neck rising from the sea, water streaming off silver scales, eyes glowing green in the fog.
Her head, Lord help me. It was shaped like a horse, but finer, delicate, seal-like, like something from another world. And she looked at me, looked right at me, like she'd been waiting.
Around them, the tavern fell silent. A small crowd of rough men and a few women had gathered at this point, mesmerized. The fire crackled softly, reflected in Dan's eyes. She dipped her head into the water and disappeared under the ship. She reappeared on the other side, bumping the hull. The men screamed, grabbing a hold of anything they could as they slid across the deck.
I couldn't move. I just stood there, grasping the rail, watching her glide. She was grace itself, the sea made flesh. And then...
He laughed quietly.
She sneezed.
Shocked out of my reverie, I shook my head in disbelief. She sneezed? I said. He nodded solemnly.
Right in my face.
Ew.
Smelled like low tide and pickled herring.
Oh, God.
Knocked me onto my ass. I was covered in snot.
Despite myself, I laughed. So did he. But it wasn't funny.
She wasn't done with us yet.
The creature rammed the ship. Barrels split open, herrings spilling everywhere, sliding off the deck to float on the surface of the water. The sea turned silver with scales.
She wanted the cargo, he said. And Chris, poor Chris, he was standing too close to the rail. One swipe of her tail, a scream, and he was overboard.
Oh, Chris! Dan clenched his fists.
I saw her lift his head, and there he was, still alive, clinging to a barrel, floating right towards her. She looked down at him, and for a heartbeat, I swear, it was almost like she smiled. Then she opened her mouth wide, filled with razor teeth, dove, and Chris was gone.
Chris. I just killed off Chris.
Chris, how could you do that? Come on, man. How could you do that?
I just killed off Chris.
Chris.
With the ship taking on water, Dan made a desperate call.
Heave the rest of the barrels, he ordered.
The men cursed but obeyed, tossing barrel after barrel of herring into the sea. The serpent followed, feasting as they slipped away under a ghost of wind.
By the time we reached Port Angeles, half the crew had quit the sea for good, claimed it wasn't natural. But me,
He smiled faintly.
I couldn't stop thinking about her.
When the shipwright inspected the hull, he found something wedged in the planks. A scale, green as bottle glass, hard as iron.
Big as my hand.
He kept it, he said, tucked away in a sea chest. But the more he looked at it, the stranger his dreams became.
I'd see her in the fog, hear her sighing under the waves. Sometimes she spoke, soft, low, in a language the sea itself might use.
He took a long sip of ginger ale.
Then one night, I went down to the harbor.
The tide was high, the moon bright.
I took the scale and dropped it into the water, and I swear the sea shimmered. I heard her laugh.
I thought the story was over, but Captain Dan wasn't done. His voice softened, the rasp melting into something almost tender.
A few nights later,
He said,
I woke to singing, not human singing, something deeper, rolling and strange. I went out to the dock, and there she was, her head above the water, watching me. She came close enough that I could see the stars reflected in her eyes. I should have been afraid, but I wasn't. I was enchanted.
He laughed, embarrassed.
There's no fool like an old fool. Here I was, years of experience on the sea, and I found myself pining over some sea serpent.
What happened then? I asked, half whispering.
She asked me to come with her, he said simply. Didn't use words, not really, just feeling, like the tide pulling at your soul. Said there was places beneath the sea where the light never fades, where ships and men and stories sleep side by side.
He smiled faintly.
I told her I couldn't breathe underwater. She looked at me. I knew if I believed, maybe I could.
He drained the last of his drink and stood.
That was my last voyage, friend. I've sailed her waters, seen her eyes, heard her song. The land's got nothing left for me now.
I tried to joke. You're not saying you're running off to marry a sea serpent. But he just grinned that crooked grin.
Wouldn't that be the strangest wedding the Straits ever seen?
Then he left, coat flapping, boots echoing on the floorboards, and disappeared into the storm. I never saw Captain Dan again. The Galleon's Inn burned down the next winter, was rebuilt, and burned again. The dock where he tied the sea nymph rotted away. But sometimes, when the fog creeps low across the harbor and the wind hums through the rigging, the fishermen still hear singing. And once, just once, when I was working as a deckhand on a ship hauling maple syrup from Vancouver, I swear I saw something long and graceful rise out near Cadboro Bay. A shining shape gliding alongside a small schooner, its sails glowing ghostly white in the moonlight. At the bow stood a man with a tangle of white hair and eyes like sea glass, his hand resting on the sleek neck of a creature both monstrous and magnificent. Captain Dan and his one true love, sailing forever in the cold green heart of the Salish Sea. That was for Captain Gan.
Wow.
Captain Dan. I said Captain Gan.
I did not anticipate a love story. I did not see that coming. What a twist. What a turn.
Master of the sea nymph, lover of adventure, and the only man to ever charm a sea serpent.
Sounds like the sea serpent charmed him.
All right, Captain Dan, there you go. You fell in love with Cadborosaurus.
Wow, that is a great story, Shay. I loved it. So creative, so entertaining, and whoa, a twist and a turn.
So if you guys are confused about what this was a little piece of fan fiction based on one of our Patreon supporters and based on one of our past episodes. And we are doing this as a thank you and a fun little side project just to thank our supporters. So if you want your own piece of bespoke fan fiction, join the Patreon. We're kind of going through and doing you all one by one. That sounded dirty. We're all doing stories about you one by one. Joining the Patreon does not mean you get done by us. You will get a story about you.
That would be false advertising.
Yes. Still nobody's gotten a picture of Jody's cleavage.
Nope.
Even though I promised that.
I think it was full boobs, wasn't it?
It's just your cleavage. Just your cleavage.
Oh, well, that's out all the time.
You can join the Patreon, or if you don't want to join the Patreon, go to our website. You can actually just purchase one, and you can tell us what episode you want, or we can pick it. You can tell us if you want us to make it a story about one of your friends or loved ones, or you. Or you can, join the Patreon. Anyway.
Join it. Just join it.
Join it. So thank you so much to all our Patreons. Thank you, Captain Dan. Sorry I missed your birthday party. I suck.
Happy birthday, Captain Dan.
Happy birthday. All right, our friends, we appreciate you. We love you. And we will see you next time. And
see you down the rabbit hole.